Did you know that there is a course called Women Who Lead where you get to spend hours with me learning how to make every interaction safe, logical, fun, and memorable? Doesn't that sound like a great way to spend some time? It will put tools in your tool belt that will change your trajectory. Give it a shot. Go to www.aimwithus.com and click on courses. I can't wait to see you there.
Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. Today is another great day to have a great day, and Productive Joy is on a field trip. You don't know it, but I'm sitting in a car randomly in Griffin, Georgia, and Lori and I are going to have a fantastic conversation with you remote. It's going to be fun. So I have a fabulous guest with me, but before I introduce her to you, I need you to follow this podcast. It is so important that you tell your friends, hey, there's a new episode of Productive Joy today, because people like Lori Rogers are going to join us, and she is a rock star. Okay, so besides being a rock star, she lives in New Hampshire. She is a mom. She is a positivity expert who is also a business owner, an entrepreneur, a creative, an artist, a researcher, and an all-around pretty awesome woman. And she is our guest today. So, Lori, welcome to Productive Joy.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. This is fun. Lots of fun.
See, you're already having fun, and we just got started.
I am.
I kind of love that. Okay.
How are you better? Made me, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I am
Tell
sometimes.
myself every day.
You know what? We need that reminder sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes we get stuck in I'm just this. And actually, we're a lot of things. So that's why I like to start that way. So people are going to listen to the first 30 seconds or so and go, yep, this one's for me, or nope, no, thank you. So what would you say to our listeners to get them excited about the next 30 minutes?
Yes. In 30 seconds, I would say I am a reformed worrywart and a reformed anxiety-ridden entrepreneur, mom and spouse and business owner. And if I can help inspire people to make simple adjustments and add simple activities into their life to help them just break down that cage of fear and worry and doubt and criticism, then that's what brings me joy.
I can tell that. And I think many of us are probably worrywarts, right? Like professional worrywarts.
Mhm.
And it doesn't gain us anything, does it?
No.
No, it really doesn't. So I'm going to guess there were some things that caused you to worry over the years and have gotten you to this point where you shifted to positivity. Why don't you take us on a little journey from little Lori to now that maybe created some of that space for you that got you to this point?
Sure. Yes. I grew up, we had a happy family of loving parents. It was fun. I have siblings. They were wonderful. But I always grew up a little worried, like a little anxious. It's so funny. I was looking at a family photo of us when we were young. I was probably 7 years old. And in the photo, I'm standing there next to my mother, and I'm like picking at my cuticles.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God, look at that. It was like a nervous habit. And at 7, I was doing that. And it dawned on me like, oh my gosh. I remember a family member telling me that, oh, Lori, you're the worrier in the family, like making a joke of it when I was only like 6 or 7 years old. But I'm sure I pretty much internalized that. And, I was a perfectionist and worried about things and not getting into trouble and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I had a happy, wonderful childhood in life, but there was always that undercurrent. And I went to college and got married after college in the 80s and had 3 beautiful kids. And I have a daughter, a son who's a non-speaker diagnosed with autism. So that brought on its own challenges in life. And he's 34 now. And I have a younger son who's 30, neurotypical, and doing great things in DC. My daughter's doing amazing things here in Boston. So in 2011 or 12 or so, no, it was 2011. At that time, if you don't remember, you were all quite young, there was a recession. There was a downturn in the economy. Our swag business, we have a marketing and swag business. hit the road and hit a stop sign, and orders were getting canceled. We weren't getting orders. Many of our clients lost their jobs, or the companies, just stopped buying things or went out of business. And it was a really tumultuous time because I hadn't really lived through a corporate downturn like that yet, and with owning our own business. So, which seems odd but maybe there was one or two before that, but it kept rolling, right? You just kept rolling. And at that time, my daughter was a college athlete, and she was home dealing with post-concussion syndrome. So she was an elite Division I athlete, home in her room in the dark, no TV, computer, phone, or anything. And that was like, oh. And our son, who's our non-speaker, was transitioning from, the enclosed, high school into the adult world, which is a whole nother, ball of wax and things going on with that. So there was a lot of balls in the air. There was a lot of unknowns. There was a lot of anxiety and worry on my end. And I didn't really have the skills to cope with it. I didn't have the skills to build up my resilience. I didn't have the skills to soothe myself and help myself feel better. I mean, the amazing husband and partner, but I kept a lot of it in, right? Because he was worried and dealing with his own worries and fears and things. So my daughter couldn't drive because she had post-concussion and said, Mom, will you take me to a wellness fair? I'm like, yeah, what's a wellness fair? But sure. So we drive up the street. I took her to a wellness fair, and there were these booths and books and presenters talking about mindset shifts and different words and thoughts and beliefs can change and create a different life, that you're worthy of everything coming to you. You're amazing. You don't have to work so hard and hard and hard for everything. There's abundance all around us, like that whole scarcity mindset. I also grew up with that, but honestly, they were great, but they probably grew up with it too, right? So there was all of that. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not know all of this? This is unbelievable. Like and if I have a math major, I have a master's in math, so I'm like a very black and white, person. And I did these concepts were brand new to me, and I didn't really get it or understand. So I bought a bunch of books. We went to some presentations, and I read and studied for like a year. And it was a year after that, I just said, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of living with the worry, with the anxiety, with the fear and the doubt and the criticizing myself. And I said, all right, I'll try. I will do this. And little by little, what I started doing was writing on little Post-it notes. If something, I'm never going to get this order, this is never going to go through, I would write a little Post-it note, and I would say, my clients love me and respect me. There's plenty for everyone, including me. Our sales are increasing this year. And I would just stick it up on the board, like in front of my desk. And whenever like that doubt or worry would come in, I'd just look up and I'd look at the Post-it note and I'd say, thank you, ego. Thank you, fear, for coming in and reminding me that this is a possibility, but I don't need to hear it anymore. And I'm going over here. So it's like you're retraining your amygdala, right? You're retraining that little part of your brain that wants to protect you so badly. It's going to do anything to keep you in fear and doubt because it's so worried about you. But I just tell it, I treat it like a little baby now. When the worries and the fears come up, I say, all right, thanks. You're so kind to remind me of that, but I'm good. And I'm going to put you over here in the playpen and you can go play over there. So, little by little, I started to do that. And as time went on, my sales increased, the business got better, relationships improved, like just things started to change. But what was most important to me was that I felt better. And when things, challenges come up almost every day.
Sure.
And, that might be an exaggeration, but you know what I mean? Like a challenge will come up and and it can like sort of paralyzed me for a moment or two or a day or two, but I now know that I've got the skills to release this, right? Like, so my happiness, my joy level is here now. So if I get bumped down a couple of notches, it's easier to bounce back and easier to stay in this place.
Wow.
And then I started doing more research. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these things I'm doing have been scientifically researched,
Right.
scientifically proven to increase your abundance, increase your, your health and your wellness, your lifespan, sales, your production. Like, oh my God, I can be 31% more productive if I'm just more positive and optimistic every day. Oh, I'll take the 31%, right? So as it went on, and then I was like, oh God, okay, Neil, I, I put a course together and I started to teach it. Like, how I don't want anyone else to not know this. That's really what I felt like. And I did it just for free. I just would go into groups, a lot of entrepreneur groups in the beginning, and women, like a lot of women in business. And I would just do it just to practice it and teach them. And it was just so inspiring and jazzed me so much to teach these concepts and practices to other people. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Well,
what you do now, which is amazing. I love that you went on this self-exploration. You figured it out for you. And then you said, you know what? I really need to share this with other people. And you
Mhm.
did that out of the goodness of your heart. And now you've turned that into a business. Like it has shifted, which I want to get into, but I've got lots of questions. So when you were going through the stuff, right? Like your daughter was hurt and you were having to deal with it, and this was the first time that you're exposed to wellness as a how do I want to say this? You were exposed to wellness in a different light, right? Like you had
Mhm.
probably heard the term and you were like, whatever, but you were that anxious little girl who was pulling at her cuticles at 7. And now
Mhm.
all of a sudden you realize there's a different way to do it. During that year where you really dug deep, what was the thing that stuck out to you most? Like what was kind of your starting point or your first, oh, this is something I need to hang my hat on.
I think reading Louise Hay and listening to Abraham Hicks talk about your I am statements and talking about yourself in a great light and the whole concept of feeling it before you have it. So, sure, if I wanted that big new house or I wanted that great big sale, or that customer to come in, or wanted to book this theater and have it full, it might not happen today or tomorrow, but the feeling of it can happen today or tomorrow. So visualizing that goal or what you want or I'm looking at my vision board right now, like of what you see in your future and going to the emotion of it, your body doesn't know whether it's real or imagined. The chemicals still get released and your brain's like, oh, that's important to her. I better pay attention to things like that. And you could I like to tell people you control your brain. It doesn't control you. So stop letting it control you, right? And that's the one thing I learned is feel it before you've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever seen the movie Inside Out 2?
No.
Oh, you've gotta go watch it today. So it's an animated Disney movie about feelings, and it's about a little girl who's 12, 13, going through puberty, and all of a sudden these new feelings show up, right? So Inside Out 1 is about happiness and joy and sadness, and it kinda leaves that there. But then, when she's 13, anxiety shows up and wreaks
Mhm.
havoc on her little brain, and what was happening before is Joy was trying to protect her brain and get rid of all of the bad thoughts. But what eventually they realized, these wonderful feelings, is that we need all of the feelings in order to be the right human, right? We can't be the best human we can be if we can't learn to feel all the feels and then deal with them, cope with them, live within them, and move on. We can't be joyful all the time, but we can choose to see the good all the time. And so that's what I'm hearing in your story. And so go watch the movie immediately.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody who's listening, it is one of the best depictions I've ever seen of what happens in our brains when circumstances show up. And it
Mhm.
sounds to me like you pushed past the circumstances and you recognized, okay, I'm going to visualize what I want it to look like. I'm not going to just feel stuck in where it is. I'm going to push towards where it's going. So, when you help people do that, what are some exercises that you do with them to get them to the point where they're able to visualize those things?
Sure. So there's some activities that I teach people to do, and I do them myself every morning. I get up, I go in the bathroom, I look in the mirror, I look at myself, and I give myself a high five, and I tell myself I love and approve of you, and this is going to be a great day. And if there's some kind of a project or something going on, that project is going great. Your meeting is gonna go terrific, and I do that. And that's a book by Mel Robbins called The High Five Habit, and I just love it. And a lot of research and science behind just doing that.
Yeah.
So I do that in the morning. I grab my journal, my coffee, I sit down, and I write 3 unique things that I appreciate from the last 24 hours and why I appreciate them. So you're training your brain to look for things to appreciate, because our software program is look for danger, look for worry, look for, finances not going well, look for this happening, look for getting hurt or falling or do you know what I'm saying? That's what our brains are trained to do. So what you're doing is training your brain. No. I want to look for the love, the joy, the compassion, and friends and love and things I appreciate. And it could be simple as, oh my gosh, I love how my new coffee pot works. This is amazing. I can time it. Or I so appreciate that, my son thanked me yesterday for something I did for him. And nothing against my kid, but sometimes it's nice to hear a call, right? That,
From adult children. Adult children are a whole different game.
So so 3 things, and then why? And then I think about them, I visualize them, all those good hormones and good chemicals are going through your body again. And then I write down a conscious recall. So it's something, and it's what I just talked about a few minutes ago, something in the last 24 hours that made you laugh, smile, warmed your heart, made you feel such joy. And within the last 24 hours, what did I write down this morning? I forget. Oh, it was how calm my son Craig was. We learned a new communication program with him. That was a whole nother podcast, but called Spelling to Communicate. And he's now, after 31 years, he's pointing to letters to communicate with us.
Wow.
And he was sweet and amazing and calm yesterday and talking to us. He's very spiritual, so he was talking to us about messages and spirituality, and he thinks love is the most important thing in the world. So I was like, oh, I just love that he did that with me, and I was smiling and thinking about that. And so that process, when you feel those feelings again, your brain doesn't know if it's happening right now or if it happened yesterday. So why fake it? Why not just visualize that? I want more of that. I want my brain, I want the serotonin and the dopamine to go flowing all over again. So, and that makes good neural connections as well. Then I try to exercise every day. I meditate. After that, I do meditate 5 to 10 minutes, depends on the day. And the other thing I do, conscious act of kindness, which people probably all do all day, and they don't realize that's what it's called. But we were built to be compassionate human beings and give service to other people. A simple text to someone, say, oh my gosh, I'm just thinking of you. I love that gift you gave me last year. I use it every day. Thank you. Like a little, even the research showed, it's kind of interesting, that a text had more of an impact on someone than an email or a phone call, which I found really interesting. So sometimes I'll write people a little card, or I'll call, or just thanking someone in your life, your child's teacher, their soccer coach, whatever it is, in appreciation. And we do that a lot in our business, because we write thank you notes for orders in our swag business and send out quarterly gifts to our clients and things like that. So you can also use some of these practices within a business as well. So there's like 5 or 6, 7 practices that I do every day that I teach in the courses and teach at my workshops. And those are these things have been scientifically proven to raise your happiness level, to build your resilience, to increase sales, productivity, your lifespan, like all these things. So I'm like, all right, I'm all in. I'm doing all of that. And it doesn't mean, just because I'm here most days, it doesn't mean things don't happen and I don't go down.
Right.
I do get, things do happen, and I do get, or the crunchy feeling, but it's just easier for me to get back up. It's
Because you're
easier.
not completely depleted, right? Like, you don't
Yeah.
ever let yourself get to that point where you're completely depleted.
Right.
That's
Yes.
awesome. So I have to ask you my favorite question because I cannot wait for you to give me your answer. My favorite question to ask, because it's the name of the podcast, because it's what we do, is if you had to define productive joy, how would you define it?
Wow. Productive joy to me is just this feeling of calm and peace and knowing that all is well and just feeling really good, just feeling light and airy and peaceful and calm. And knowing that even if a bump in the road hits or order doesn't ship on time or something like, I know I can figure it out. I know I can figure it out.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's fun for me because there are so many different definitions. And yet, now that we're at like somewhere around 150 episodes, I'm starting to hear some patterns in the answers. And ironically, we're recording now, but this won't air until late June, July. So I'm the podcast that came out today that we're recording this, which is in March, was by a young lady by the name of Queen. And her response and your response were the same. She
Yeah.
said peace. She said productive joy is peace. And I think it is pretty darn cool that there will be months in between these episodes. And yet you and Queen both said that it's that calm, it's that peace.
And I saw it on the feed and I did not listen to it yet. That's so fun.
Well, go back and listen. Queen
I
is
will. I'm going
fantastic.
to.
All of you go back and listen. It aired on March 13th. But
Okay.
thinking about that peace, I think that's what we strive for, right? We don't want to live in chaos. Some people thrive in chaos, but ultimately the chaos isn't it, right? Busyness maybe, high paced, but not chaos. And so I like the idea that it's taking all the stuff and it's turning it into something peaceful and calm. That's really powerful. And you're helping people do that. How great is that? So how would somebody find you, Lori? If somebody is listening to this right now, and I hope they will, I hope they're listening and going, my goodness, I want to pick this woman's brain. I want to learn from her. I want to take her courses. How would they do that?
So our website is positiveactivity.net and our emails are linked right in there. I'm also on Instagram. It's Lori, Loria Rogers, Rogers, Positive Activity. So I'm there and I'll get inspired and think of something and I'll just post something. So, so it's really fun. I like to connect on that. And yeah, so to us.
Well, we want people to find you and we want people to reach out to you because you do have just this wonderful way about you. And it's clear that you've lived some life and you've done some things and you recognize that we have a choice every single day to see the good or the bad, and you're choosing the good. And it's reinforcing for me because so my circumstance was that my parents divorced when I was 19 and I had never seen them fight. And then all of a sudden, not only did they divorce, but we lost our house in bankruptcy and I didn't have a home to go home to. And although I was supposed to be grown at 19, I was absolutely not. And so at that moment, I don't know what possessed me, but I pulled out a journal and I started only writing good things. And some days I couldn't fill the 3 lines that were there. And by the end of that year, I couldn't fit all my good things on the 3 lines. Now, it was the worst year of my life, but I chose to shift my focus to the good things. And to me, that's exactly what you're saying, right? Like we get to set our minds on the 3 things that happened to us that we're grateful for. And it's really beyond grateful. It's the, how did this impact me and what did this do for me? And really just choosing where we put our attention, because what we put our attention on is what's going to get it. So why wouldn't we? I love that you're doing that. And I love that you're helping people do that. And I think there's so much power in what you're doing. And so you said you have a swag business also. What are you tell us a little bit about that?
That's Rogers Marketing, and that our website there is RogMark.net. Rogers Marketing.
Okay.
So it's very fun. I love my clients. We have a great time. Yeah, and I have a great team. My social media team are my sister's my client she's our client manager person. She's awesome. So
I love
I work it together, and yeah, it's fun.
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, and I want people to be able to find you because clearly you have a beautiful way about you and you have this thing that people need. So the listeners of Productive Joy, they of course vary, but all of them are looking for a little shot of B12. They're looking for something that they can use right away to shift their world and create a little more productive joy. So if you had to give them one piece of advice to do exactly that, something small, something little, you've mentioned some really brilliant things, but is there something that they could do right now in the car that would, or if I'm in the car, if they're in the car listening, great, or, running on the treadmill or taking a walk with the dog, what's something they could do right now to shift their focus?
All right, if you're in the car, when you get to the next red light, pull your visor down, look yourself in the mirror, and say something kind and amazing and uplifting to yourself.
Oh, I love it.
Do that every morning. Or when a negative thought comes in, say, okay, thanks, you got to go. And look at yourself in the mirror and say, no, this is great. You're doing the best job you can right now. This is awesome.
Ah,
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't do that. I wish I had done that as a kid. I'd be like, no. Yeah.
Well, and I think about my own kids who are 24 now and thriving and doing amazing things, but still they're 24 and they're trying to figure it out. If I could just get them to pull those habits, right? So they will hear it. They always say, "Mom, don't podcast me." I'm like, "Oh, I can't help myself. I'm so sorry." It's just I am because I love them. So I will podcast them with that for sure.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
It's so great to meet you.
I know. So I have some rapid fire questions, if that's
Oh.
okay.
Sure.
This is the fun part for me. Speaking of, what is your definition of fun?
Well, for me, laughing, belly laughing, dancing, either with or without my husband, seeing a funny movie, a funny show, yeah, being with friends and having a fun time.
I agree with all of those. Those are perfect. Okay, so how do you know that you are showing up as your authentic self?
Well, when I'm in a space or time or event or place with people and I don't feel squeamish, like I
Ooh.
don't feel guarded,
I like
that I just, this is me. And okay, so I'm in my 60s now, but it's taking me a long time to get to the point to be authentic-ish because you're always worried, oh, well, what are people going to think if I say that or I do that or I'm not crying over that and then you get to a point in life where you're like, okay,
I don't care.
matter.
Yeah. I don't care. Yeah, I'm 48 and I am learning that every single day, right? Like it is really okay if everybody doesn't like me and if everybody doesn't see the same things I see or choose to experience me in whatever way. That's not always easy, but it's definitely
Right.
definitely
You
worth
know,
it. Okay. So, how do you channel your best self on your worst days?
go out for a walk. Hopefully it's sunny at night. It's still kind of cool here in New Hampshire, but if it's
I feel like
sunny,
New Hampshire, you can't do that in the winter.
oh,
Now it's
So-
in summer. We're fine. But
okay. I'll get out in nature and go walk. I'll call a friend that always makes me laugh and feel good and rant and rave or whatever I have to do to release whatever energy is happening. I'll go to yoga. I have many little tips and tricks on. There's a blog on my website that's 3-minute resets. So sometimes it takes a lot more than 3 minutes, but some quick 3-minute resets to sort of shift your energy a little bit. I have many tips and tricks to do that because it happens.
yeah, it does. That's the realness of it. Okay, last question. It's going to be a hard one, but if people can only remember one thing from the time that we've spent together and all of the brilliant things that you've said, what's the one thing that you really want them to hold on to? What's the thing that you'd like to leave them with?
I think that your words and your thoughts that you say a lot with deep emotion become your beliefs. So if that's true and you believe that, which I do, let's shift them all to more positive ones. So say positive things about yourself and others, positive beliefs about you and your thoughts and your life and your job and your business and your relationships, and see what happens that way. And that's what you attract into your life. That's the life you create. by your brain's like, oh, right. She wants more of that. Okay. That it does matter. What you say and think with deep emotion is what you sort of like storing in there.
In other words, it's up to us, right? We have the opportunity to shift our thinking, to see all of the beautiful things that are actually happening. And I am so appreciative that you chose to share that with our Productive Joy crew. So thank you, Lori, for your time today, for your brilliance, and for choosing to spread some positivity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was fun. Thanks, Christy.
Yay, I'm glad. And for my listeners, you guys, I'm telling you, these people are brilliant and you do not want to miss an episode. So do yourself a favor and make sure that you are following this podcast. If you're not, please do today. If you are, share it with a friend, because people like Lori come on once in a lifetime and we can't miss them. So thank you again, Lori, for your brilliance. And thank you to all of my listeners for being the amazing humans that you are. And y'all, I need you to go out and figure out a way to turn fun into action.